Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome viewers to another episode of Pathways to Prosperity. And tonight we're discussing something that many of us may be discussing over braais, family functions, lunches. Whenever we're together with family, everybody seems to have a conversation around how we get to the next tier, how we extract the most value. It's about loyalty and rewards points or programs. It's permissibility in terms of the Shari'ah. What are the differences between a loyalty program and a rewards program? And today, alhamdulillah, I'm joined by our special guest, Mufti Ahmed Suliman, who is a well-respected scholar in Islamic finance, sitting on various boards of financial institutions across the region. Mufti Sahib, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair. Thanks for coming through. I think many of us, we hear sometimes about loyalty and rewards program millionaires. You read articles about how Starbucks is a bank on its own because of the money that they accumulate in their rewards program. So it's a topic of great interest for many of us. Obviously, I suppose the importance of us understanding its permissibility. But maybe to start off with, do we see a distinction between what is a loyalty program and what is a rewards program? Are these things interchangeable terms, or are they two different things?
So generally a rewards program, as it is said, is meant to reward somebody for doing a particular action or for doing something, and maybe trying to push a particular agenda at a point in time. A store may offer certain rewards because they want to sell certain items, etc., etc. So at that point in time, they're trying to push an agenda, they're trying to push the sales of a particular item, and to help them push their sales, they will offer rewards so they can attract buyers to those particular sales. And a loyalty program is a rewards program in a way, because it will offer some sort of rewards, but the purpose behind and the agenda behind a loyalty program is to gain loyalty of the customers. You offer the program and you want the customer to stay with you for a long period of time, so you create the loyalty and you maintain and keep the loyalty. An example of a loyalty program would be when one has to climb certain tiers. So you're on classic when you join the program, and then you use the program, and because of the usage of the program, you go to silver and into gold. So when a member who is on a gold platform does something, an action very similar to another member who is on a classic platform, that member on a gold platform will be rewarded more because of his loyalty over the years to get to that particular tier of that loyalty program. So in brief, a loyalty program will give you rewards,
right,
in various ways and forms, and a rewards program will also give you rewards, but a rewards program may not have the same strategy and intention as a loyalty program where they want to keep you hooked on with them forever.
Thanks for that. So we've, from a banking perspective, we've seen lots of behavioral science go into these programs. And as you mentioned, the manner in which they designed they're not random in nature. They have a specific intention in order to make the human being behave in a particular way. I suppose the biggest part of the discussion that we need to get to is, are these programs permissible? Because the general sort of ruling or understanding that many of us may have is, in a financial transaction, I can't receive monetary gain without there being fair exchange, without there being a proper contract and exchange of value between that. So on face value, some of our viewers may be of the opinion that these programs are not permissible because the reward that you receive could be tantamount to riba. So maybe unpack for us, Mufti Sahib, the Sharia considerations on these programs.
So there's various ways of looking at the different rewards programs, and it's very difficult to try and generalize on the one hand, and also focus on particular rewards program. For example, an airline's rewards program may be slightly different to a rewards program in a bank.
Right.
But by and large, from a Sharia perspective, when you apply a Sharia lens over rewards or loyalty programs, rather, because I see most of these as loyalty programs where, all these offerers of goods and services want you to stick with them forever. And like you correctly mentioned, in the banking space, besides wanting to reward you for certain actions, they also want to change your behavior in a particular way, a form. So a bank may not want you to swipe a debit card, for example, and may want you to swipe a credit card because it's in their interest. Then they will give you better rewards for swiping a credit card as opposed to a debit card. So just one type of example where rewards are used to change behavior and to create a habit.
Yeah.
And once a person is stuck in a particular habit, then loyalty will be achieved.
Yeah.
So from a Sharia perspective, there's various ways of looking at this. One is something that the fuqaha have mentioned as tabarru' mashroot. A tabarru', something that is given to somebody else, but with a particular condition. So it's a gift with a condition. It's not an unconditional gift. And there are specific examples that the fuqaha have given and the muhaddithin have given in the era of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was invited to a particular dinner, and he put a condition that I will accept the invite if Aisha, my wife Aisha radiallahu anha, is to accompany me for the dinner.
Yeah.
And the person who gave the invite, the host, he said no. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, I'm not coming.
Okay.
Then on the second occasion,
the wives can put conditions not to attend the dinner.
yeah.
It's found in the hadith.
In the hadith, it's termed a little bit differently. It's termed more about even if you look at this particular hadith at the end of it, about the love that sometimes happens that exists between the couples. That you want to attend a particular event, but you don't want to attend it alone. So you say, I'll come on condition that my wife is, yeah. So today if you have to tell somebody, I'll come on condition you give my wife invite as well, then they'll have a lot to say about you. But in that hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَهَذِهِ, what about her? On the second occasion when he came to invite. And he said, no, she's not invited. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I'm not accepting the invite. On the third occasion, he came and he said, I want to invite you again. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, وَهَذِهِ, what about her? Aisha radiallahu anha. And then he said, yes, she can come one. And then if you look at a hadith, the way the hadith mentions this, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Aisha radiallahu anha, they left her home in a particular way where it shows a kind of love that existed between the two of them, and they went and they partook in that particular dinner. But some of the fuqaha have mentioned that when a gift was presented, which was to attend the dinner, because Nabi Sallallahu was not paying for it, so it was a gift. To partake of that particular supper, Nabi Sallallahu put a condition that I will come on condition that you invite Aisha radiallahu anha as well, and there are other examples as well. So sometimes the conditions are put on the recipient. The recipient puts the conditions. Sometimes the person who gives the gift puts the condition. So you find these type of examples, and it does exist. I think what's important from a Sharia perspective is to understand certain basic principles which we know all along. This reward. What is this reward? Is the reward something permissible or impermissible in its very nature?
So I can't get a wine as an example.
As an example, if somebody gives if the reward of purchasing airline tickets would be that you were going to earn a reward of a bottle of wine, then obviously that will not be permissible, because now the item that you're earning as a reward is in its very nature not permissible. If a person was required to do something that's not permissible from a Sharia perspective, which will earn him the reward. The reward may be permissible, but the action is not permissible. For example, a person performs an interest-bearing transaction with the bank, and that interest-bearing transaction earns him a reward. Then naturally the reward cannot be permissible, because you did something impermissible to earn that reward. So the reward will follow that action, and that reward will also not be permissible for you. So if you are in a loyalty program of any of the banks, and you have not yet embraced the Islamic banking system or the Sharia banking system, and you're still on the conventional side, and now you're benefiting from the rewards program of that as well, then that also will not be permissible.
So in a simple example, obviously we're not going to call out any particular brands or anything, but our viewers will be familiar with many of the brands that are available in the market. But I know at Standard Bank, as an example, we'll use our one. If you hold certain, for example, if you take out a home loan with us, and if you take out a revolving credit facility, and if you have another type of loan with us, and if you have a will with us, and then if you have money kept in a interest-bearing call account, or a whole lot of different conditions, then it moves your tiers up. You can enter the program and pay the membership fee, but you, as Mufti Sahib mentioned, you'll be at the base level. But as you consume these products, you'll go to a higher level. So, for clarity, Mufti Sahib, what then is the degree of, is there a degree of impermissibility? So let's say, for example, if I'm on tier 1 or classic, and that is permissible because I pay my fee and the reward I receive is permissible. But let's say, for example, now I have a home loan with the bank, which is an interest-bearing one, and this puts me on tier 4. So will the understanding be that the benefit between tier 1 and tier 4 then becomes impermissible?
I think it's not such an easy answer.
Right.
We'll have to look at different rewards programs and how it is structured, but differently, because sometimes doing those certain actions, like you said, having a Sharia banking account may put you on tier 1,
yeah,
and having other products may put you on particular tiers,
yeah,
but collectively allows you entrance into the door.
right.
And then the action that you need to perform to earn the reward may be swiping off a card, which is permissible.
Yeah.
So, and that action earned you the reward. So if you had every single banking product, and like I said, it's difficult to generalize because the programs are not the same.
Programs are different. Yeah.
But let's assume you had every single banking product, and everything you took out was non-compliant and not halal, and you got to the highest level.
Right.
But you didn't do the swiping. For example, if that was a requirement, you will not earn anything.
Yeah.
But if you're on level, let's assume you only took Islamic banking products, but you also did what you're supposed to do, then that would have earned you rewards. Now, the fact that you have added into your basket some non-compliant products from a Sharia perspective, and that has put you on a different level.
Yeah.
I think that obviously will be questionable from a Sharia perspective, but I wouldn't want to just sit here and say non-compliant, because we have to be very careful when we say something is halal and when something is haram.
We have to understand the rules of it.
We have to understand the particular rules and then make a particular judgment. But I think as a general rule, if doing something non-compliant earns you rewards, then obviously it will not be compliant.
Mufti Sahib, I have two more questions which have been on the top of my mind, and I'm sure is on the top of the mind of some of our viewers. The first one is, some rewards programs offers you to convert the points into cash. Now, is that permissible? How do we view that from a Sharia perspective?
Yeah, so all these rewards points, if you can call it that, have some value attached to it. So an airlines program will have the value of booking a seat.
Yeah.
In economy class seat would be different, the different classes would be different, business class would be different. A hotel program will have points, but the value will be linked to staying in the hotel at night. So all these programs have different values, but that value at some point in time can be converted into a rand value. So as long as you have not yet converted it into rands and cents, it remains almost a right which the program has offered you to take. But the moment you convert it into cash, which will be fine because the program allows you, some programs don't allow you to, and some programs allow you to. The program allows you to convert it to cash. All it means is that the program provider is now giving you cash as a reward for all the activities or actions that you have performed.
And then, Mufti Sahib, the last one is, I would naturally assume, if, for example, now I've got a loyalty program, and if it is of real value in the economy, I can go and buy goods and services with these things in the economy, then I would assume that this gives rise to two secondary issues that we need to consider, which would be the zakatability of the rewards points, and how does the law of inheritance then affect this? Because sometimes these points can become material in value, even if immaterial, even if it's 1 rand, it will add to your estate. Or your zakatable calculation. So maybe the zakat considerations, Mufti Sahib, and the inheritance considerations.
I would look at it as a right, a haqq, which you are entitled to enjoy. But as long as you have not yet converted those particular points into a zakatable asset, because you don't pay zakat on everything, you pay zakat on zakatable assets. For example, you pay zakat on cash, you pay zakat on trading stock, you pay zakat on gold, silver, etc., and the list goes on. As long as the points just remain as points and you have an entitlement to use it, and until and unless you have not used it or converted it into something, it just remains that right. So in my very humble view, I think zakat will not be payable on the points. But like I said, it will depend on the rewards programs, and it can change. Sometimes the rewards are actually written as points, but if it's actually cash, then it's zakatable because it's cash. But if it's not cash, and you can use the rewards to buy a night at a hotel, or to book a flight, or to upgrade a flight, etc., then it's still just a right. And at that point, as long as it's a mere right, and you have not yet used it or converted it into a zakatable asset, then there won't be zakat on something like that. But when it comes to inheritance is a bit more tricky because your heirs are entitled to rights as well that you were entitled to during your lifetime. So the question one would have to ask is that these rewards, what happens to it when you pass away? Do you forfeit the reward because the program has given you the right to use it, but because you didn't use it, you lost it?
Right.
Or is it a right to use and to pass on to others when you pass away as well? So I think we'll have to understand that before we can say that there will be inheritance, and its inheritance laws will actually apply.
So in a simpler understanding, or to summarize what Mufti Sahib is saying, if the rewards program is actually cash by definition of the rules, then it may be zakatable.
Yes.
And then in terms of the inheritance, if the rules of the program say that the rewards pass over, whether in cash form or as a right, over to the beneficiaries or the legal heirs of the owner of that, then the laws of inheritance would apply. But if the rules of the program say that upon death it's forfeited, then the laws of inheritance won't apply.
Yeah, I think a good example to explain that better is some of the rewards programs, they give you rewards, but they expire at a point in time.
Right.
So if you don't use the reward by a particular date, it expires.
Yeah.
So that will tell you that you have a right to use it up to a point in time, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So in that particular case, then there will be no inheritance on something like that.
Mufti Sahib, Jazakallah khair for that discussion. We've run out of time, and I'm sure our viewers have found this interesting. Any parting comments or advices on these particular programs or the topic, or any general Islamic finance advice for our viewers?
I think my advice, obviously, before going to rewards programs, will be to go to the original and say that let us understand Islamic banking, let us understand Sharia banking, let us understand what it's all about, and let us embrace it. And then we know that all other things that we are earning out of banks. So for example, the rewards or other stuff that a person gets from a particular bank, other benefits, then it's coming from permissible transactions. The point of Islamic banking as we see it in South Africa today, I look at it as one simple objective, as simple as it may be, but very, very great from a Sharia perspective. And that is to take a person out of riba. The contractual relationship between the two parties must not be a riba-based or interest-based transaction. If we can get that right, then we've achieved something very, very great. We've taken people out of riba, which is seen as one of the most serious sins in Islam. And if we understand this, because people will not embrace it if they don't understand it. If people can understand what it's all about, embrace it, and get yourself out of riba, I think that would be my most important nasiha and advice to the audience today.
Jazakallah khair, Mufti Sahib. A reminder, Mufti Sahib said that is a great sin. The verse of Quran that comes to mind, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Then beware of a war from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam for us engaging in riba. Until next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.